and it could lead to hyperinflation.
Yeah, let me just play out my thesis here, which is I don't disagree. You can't have assets going down 90%, the core collateral of the system, if they're debasing the currency, because they go up optically because the currency is going down. The Venezuelan stock market goes up in Bolivar terms and down in dollar terms, right? So therefore, if your collateral keeps going up, which is what they learned in 2008, is we can backstop the entire thing by debasing the currency quickly, the collateral goes up, and hey presto, my debts aren't so bad. Okay, magic. It's not magic, as you know. It's a sleight of hand. It's not pure magic. What they're doing is robbing you in a different way. Okay, this has happened before. This is exactly what happened in the 1940s and 50s. Saddled with massive debts after World War II, the large economies did the same thing. Financial repression, they had yield curve control, which is buying of government bonds, keeping interest rates low, which we've seen, and they just printed money. And over time, the value of the debt had eroded. And what they'd managed to do was create a productivity miracle, which drove GDP growth.
One thing you're overlooking, though, a key difference back then. So after the Second World War, and the government ran up a lot of debt during the war, but they paid for a lot of the war with tax hikes. They had tremendous tax hikes, particularly the income tax, which tripled when the war started. In fact, they introduced the withholding tax in 1942 as a victory tax. So before the Second World War, hardly anybody paid income taxes. By the end of the Second World War, a lot of people were paying income taxes. And when the war ended, the government had all of this income tax revenue coming in. And it was temporary to win the war. But when they stopped the war, they didn't stop the income tax. And so the government was flush with cash. And so it paid down a lot of that debt. Debt collapsed in the years because the government ran huge surpluses and paid down a lot of that debt. So it wasn't all just inflated away. Yeah, when the 1960s and 70s rolled around, there was a lot of inflation. But the initial big drop in debt was an honest repayment because we stopped spending money on the war. The problem now is we haven't cut any spending. We're taxing people to the hilt right now, and we don't have the type of economy.